Hello and welcome to the Final Flight podcast. We are back, and myself and Rich are here to talk about the York Ebor Meeting, one that we've been really looking forward to. Rich, are you excited for the week, mate?
Yep, it's good to be back. Ebor, here we come.
Certainly is. Unfortunately, Joe can't be with us tonight, but I'm sure he'll be posting a few of his picks on throughout the week, and I know he's there on Thursday, Friday, as I am as well on Friday, so hopefully we'll be able to bring plenty of some on-course content for everyone to watch and have a look at that. So we are going to dive straight into it, Rich, with the... Oh, where have that button gone? Right, with the Acomb Stakes, the Group 3 over 7 furlongs. Now, I've not got the race card up for some reason because my thing's just gone off. So I'm going to dive in straight with you. And have you got a selection for this first race that we're going to do today, mate?
I do. So the obvious one is Ballymountain Boy. I think he's about 94 favourite. Yep. He brings the best form, I think, in this. He was second to Van Dijk last time out. Goodwood over 6 furlongs, I think it was. Obviously, then he's gone on and won the Group 1 in France last weekend. So I think that's very good form. Ballymountain Boy at Goodwood looked to be staying on the line, so the step up to 7 furlongs here should be ideal. The only concern I've got is it's going to be the fastest ground I think he's ever encountered.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a question mark whether or not he handles it. One, a fairly decent price that I do like, who has run on good ground over the distance, is Indian Run. He was a clear winner last time out, Ascot over 6 on good. He beat Kingdom of Riches, who won next time out at Leicester over 7. Northview was also in that race, and he was heavily backed last weekend as well. But unfortunately, Haviland couldn't get him over the line. So, yeah, I think Indian Run's quite a decent each way shout. But, yeah, Ballymountain Boy brings definitely the best form to this.
Yeah, you're right there, mate. And like you say, Van Dijk sort of franking that form. I know it was over in France, but it's still quite strong to win a Group 1 over there. And obviously dropping into Group 3 is you would expect him to go favourite and probably is the likeliest winner. But I do think it's one of them that I myself, I've had a quick look, but I'm going to take him on. The one I kind of fell on was the one for Aidan O'Brien, Edwardian, with Ryan Moore on board. So I thought if you go back and watch his first 2 runs, he was slowly away, but the second run was miles better once he stepped up to 6 furlongs. So I think another step up in trip here. I think if he can break away quite cleanly, I do think he's got a really good chance. Obviously, it is a massive step up in grade, but like you mentioned there about the favourite sort of not run on this as fast a ground as this, it does pose a bit of a concern there. So I'd be willing to take him on with one that has won, albeit a lower level, but does look an improver on good ground. I'd like to think he will probably improve a bit better for the better ground and obviously stepping up in trip. So I think, again, I know a few will be on the favourite, and he is a pretty good price at sort of 9-4, but I'm going to take him on with Edwardian for Ryan Moore. Kick off the day in style, I reckon.
Very good.
Love it. So some good picks there. Right, mate, we're going to move on to the 3 o'clock tomorrow, the Great Voltage Stakes, Group 2 over 7 furlongs. We've obviously got Hot Pot in here, Gregory. Again, another small field, another couple of small fields throughout the week, but it still looks pretty good. Gregory, Continuous, Castleway, Artistic Star, and Canberra Legend. Is it just a formality that Dettori is going to get a winner on the board here this week?
Again, I think Gregory probably does bring slightly the best form. I think the Queen's Vase last time out was quite decent. Continuous is the one I've been kind of looking at, though. I mean, the second behind King of Steel, again, is quite decent. He's been running in some quite good races, like he was in the Group 1 Prix de Jockey Club that was won by Ace Impact. I mean, he didn't finish anywhere near the places, but still, to be entered in it, he must have some sort of ability. He was also third in the Dante that was won by the Foxes. So he's kind of got a bit of course form. But I do like Gregory. I think good ground, Dettori on board. I think, I do like him. He beat St. George by 1.5 lengths, who was a neck third to Castleway in the Bahrain Trophy. So I can't see anyone else getting close to him apart from Continuous. So that'd be the 2 that I'd be looking at. But yeah, I do like Gregory.
Yeah, I'm on the same track as you. I think Gregory, he's sort of got the world at his feet. I think sort of obviously unbeaten in 3, and like you said, that's the sort of main piece of form I've taken out of there. I thought Castle Castle Way was probably the one I'd have gone with him against him, but obviously that form with St George, where obviously he's beating him a little bit further, and I do think, obviously the step back in trip a touch won't be an issue for Gregory, I wouldn't have thought. So I do think Frankie Dettori is going to a bit of a point and shoot job with this one, unless something can maybe tactically do him. But not many people can do that to old Frankie around York, can they? So yeah, like I say, Gregory for both of us. Right, moving on again to the 335. Obviously got plenty to get through, so we won't mess around too much. A couple of small feeds, but obviously the Juddmonte International, a Group 1 worth a heck of a lot of prize money. And unfortunately, we've only got a 4-horse race with Paddington, a short price favourite. And I think, again, it's not going to be one we maybe spend much time on. But do you think any of these can get Paddington beat, Rich?
First off, it's a poor turnout. £500,000 for the winner, and I think it's £1 million overall. It's shocking for 4 runners, to be fair. No, I think it's Paddington to lose. I think so. He's been improving with every run. He seems rock solid. He's had a busy season, but he seems to take his races really well. He seems to be running like every other week. He seems to be out. Aiden seems to keep churning him out for these sort of races. He ran over 1 mile 1 in the Eclipse against Emily Upjohn, and I thought he was staying on quite well, and I don't think she would have ever got past him. So I think the step up in trip to 1 mile 2, I think shouldn't be too much of an issue. Mostadaf, I think he's the highest rated the horse this season. I mean, he blew everybody away last time out in the Prince of Wales, but he's not very consistent. I've been going through his form. I don't think he's ever really backed up a performance. So that would be my only concern. He's got to prove that wasn't a fluke, pretty much. But it was impressive. But I think, Paddington is just the horse of the season so far, isn't he? So hopefully he doesn't get beat and the run continues.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's kind of one of them where I do quite like seeing some horses stay unbeaten, and it is a bit disappointing that it is only a small field. And like you say, I just think he's just got a little bit too much class for him. He won't mind the trip. The ground probably won't be much of an issue because I just think he is going to improve past most of these anyway. So I just think it's a bit of a, probably look at the double for Gregory if you're looking for a bit of value. But obviously, it's not much of a price. But I do think he's just going to go and win again. And I think it'll be one of them, a little bit of a possession for him. So fingers crossed he can go do the business. Because although he's a short price, sometimes it's nice to see one of these punters' horses, I would say, go in that just keeps winning and lets everyone have a decent day tomorrow, whoever's there. And party time at the end, I reckon, for Paddington. Oh, fantastic. Right, so that's the group racing done for the first day. We're going to move on to the Thursday. I'm going to start with the Lowther Stakes, the Group 2. This looks like a really interesting race, this. You got the likes of Relief Rally, Cherry Blossom in here. Flora Bermuda, as we know, has been one of them that we've had up on the podcast a couple of times. And there's some really nice types in here, so I'm interested to see your thoughts on this one, Rich, mate. I'll let you go first, obviously.
Obviously, I like a favourite, so Relief Rally's in my notes.
Shock.
To be fair, his running at Haydock last time out I thought was quite impressive. He was quite far back and he stayed on strongly and powered through on the line. That was over 5. The step up to 6 here, I think, is probably going to suit.
Yeah.
I think he's good. I think he's a strong favourite. The one I've actually looked at in the rest of the field is Star of Mystery for Godolphin.
Really?
Yeah. Impressive winner at Newmarket over the 6 on good ground, winning by 4 lengths. However, the slight negative, he did get turned over at 1 to 6 on last time out, which
it's just what I like to see leading into this.
Yeah, it's not what you want, but she was a bit keen and didn't really show her true running, so I think she's going to bounce back. I hope she's going to bounce back. She's 11 to 1, which is probably why she's that sort of price, but if she can bounce back and go back to a Newmarket win at listed level, I think it's a good each weight price at 11 to 1. I think she could outrun her odds.
I like it. So a little bit of a mention for the favour and a big press against. I'm actually against the favour also, because obviously whenever you back a favour, I like to take it on. 9 times out of 10, it's worth taking on. The one I've gone for, I sound a bit like a broken record, to be fair. I've gone for the Aidan O'Brien runner in here. And I don't know if Ryan Moore's going to be on, but because he's got a couple in here not jocked up yet. But Cherry Blossom, the second favourite, I quite like. I've got down here you know, I put a line through his debut. Obviously, that's one of them. You know, you don't know what you're going to get on debut, but his second run stepped up from 5 furlong up to 6 furlong on a much better ground. And I think this is what's the key to this horse: better ground and a bit more of a trip. So I do think the 6 furlong, obviously it's going to be fast ground on Thursday, you'd have thought, as long as they don't get any rain, which I don't think they do. I think it's supposed to be pretty dry all day. So they might water it a little bit, but no doubt I think we'll have good ground. And I just think the favourites may be worth taking on under those sort of conditions. And I think Cherry Blossom was just the one I quite like. Obviously won that second run by quite a convincing margin. And I just think another bit more experience under the belt, I think is going to go, she's going to go real close in this race, and I do think that the favourite's worth taking on. And you know what York's like, how bad it is for favourites. 9 times out of 10 they don't win, do they?
No, it's a tough track. It's a fair track, though.
It is a fair track, and I suppose that's what you want. I mean, obviously it'd be nice to have a couple of favourites for most of the people going, but it'd be nice if we have a winner or two, I think. Fingers crossed.
Best horse usually wins, whether that's the favourite or not.
I mean, you know well as I do, we've had plenty of the best horses not win. I bet you can think of exactly which horse I'm thinking of right now.
Ooh. Bet I can't.
when we were
there. Siskiny?
No, I was thinking of Queen Fiona that time, and Evelyn got her absolutely beat when she should have 100% won. Right then, so we'll move on. We'll move on to the next one, the Clipper Handicap. Obviously, I threw this one in here because there's only 2 group races on the Thursday, but I'm hoping you've sort of dissected this race, Rich, because I've not really had a chance to have much of a look at it. But have you got any thoughts on this one, mate, for Thursday?
Yeah, I've looked at 2. One obviously is the favourite, but it's a 6-1 favourite, so that tells you how open it is. But yeah, Aku Nalja, is it? Nalja, the variant horse?
Aku Najal.
That'll do. He's got a good draw, and he went close at Ascot last time out over 1 mile. So I think the drop back to 7 is going to make him quite dangerous. I look back at last season, he was behind My Prospero and Reach for the Moon, who at the time were quite like hype sort of horses. And I think he must have some ability if he was finishing behind those last year. So I think he could be dangerous. The one I do like, and it's not just for the name, but it's Master Richard at 20-1.
Yeah, all right. Give us an explanation for that one then.
He's got a good draw, and he went close off this mark last time out at Newmarket over the 7. He's got good course form. I think he's finished 2nd and 1st at York in the past. He's got good form on decent ground as well, which he's going to get. So I think at 20-1, I think I'll be having a little dabble each way on that.
I love it. I might dive in with on that one as well, I think. I'm just going to put this one up here. John, as who's watching, loves tough tracks. Thought he would. We also love a tough track. And yeah, it's not water, mate. It's lemonade. Get your facts right, pal. Right, so moving on to the big one on the Thursday. The Yorkshire Oaks. Group 1 mile 4. Obviously a tasty looking race. You've got the likes of Say the Last Dance in as favourite. Could the ground be an issue? Blue Stocking, Free Wind. We know she's let her down a couple of times. Al Huzn. Warm Hearts also in here. Obviously, Ryan Moore's on Save the Last Dance. And a couple of others. What are your thoughts on this one, race? It's quite a tricky little race to dissect, I think, on the bones of it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was soft ground, I'd be all over Save the Last Dance. She brings sort of the best form. I mean, she won the Irish Oaks and second the Epsom Oaks, I think is pretty decent form. All her wins, though, have come on like soft, heavy ground. Second in the Oaks was on good to firm, but even though she ran well, I just think she's a better horse on soft. Again, I kind of looked at Al Husson. She just seems to keep improving. She was impressive winner of the Nassau last time out, beating some really good horses, including Nashwa, who she reopposes here. She's about 7-1, and I think that's quite a good each way price. She always seems to run a race, and she is improving with every run that it seems. Similar to the favourite, she has got better form on soft, but she has won a listed race at Ayr on good to firm. So I don't think it's going to be that much of an inconvenience, whereas the favourite potentially might not run up to form. So at 7-1, Al Husson, I might just have a small each way shot at that, I think.
Yeah, I've been inclined to sort of drift towards Alhuzn as well. I mean, the kind of one I went with, I mean, it's a bit of a cliff horse now, but Free Wind, obviously, we know what's gone on over the last few weeks and stuff. But I just think back at York, back on fast ground, I'd like to think that Free Wind with Ittori might get a little bit of redemption. But I do think the favourite's worth taking on. I know that was an impressive win last time out when she were completely outpaced and somehow rallied to win going away. But will she get that opportunity to sort of do that on this fast ground? Could they get away from her a bit lively? And I do think the likes of Free Wind and Alhuzn could be the ones who just maybe get away. And similar to I think there was a horse when we were there at York that time for similar connections. I can't remember what it was called now, but just one of them where you just think it looks so obvious in the end. But yeah, I think the favourite's worth taking on, and I'm going to take her on with Free Wind, I think, and I'll probably have a little dabble on Alhuzn. Or Alhuzn. I can't even say it. Is that even right? Alhuzn?
Alhuzn? I don't know.
Alhuzn.
Right.
Yeah, we love pronouncing names on this podcast. It's absolutely having a laugh. Right, so we're taking on the favourite in that race. I like it. The Yorkshire Oaks. Fingers crossed we can. She don't just go bolt up. Right, so I'm going to move on now to the Friday. The Lonsdale Cup is the next one. It's a Group 2 over 2 mile. Now, this is another one of them sort of tricky races to dissect, to think with. Quite a few of these reopposing, especially after that last run. Obviously, that Quickthorn managed to steal. Well, I won't say steal, but they'll let him just get away completely. But do you think anything? You think he'll be run the same this time round, Rich?
I'd be surprised if they let him get away with that again. To be fair, I think is Tashkan running in this. I think he likes to lead, so I think Quickthorn might have some company up there, which
not jocked up currently, but was in there.
I don't think he'll suit, and I'm sure the jockeys will not give him that much lead this time round. Surely, I think they got some stick, didn't they, last time? I quite like
pretty incredible to watch, to see him. I mean, obviously they know he goes off in front like that, but to literally give him basically a furlong was pretty crazy, to be honest.
There's a few, like I say, it's quite open. Like Coltrane, I think, has got a good chance. Botty's horse won at the Dante meeting. I think I wouldn't underestimate that one. I do like Courage Mon Ami, though. Similar connections as Gregory. I know he finished way down the pecking order last time out of Goodwood, but I think Frankie sort of knew that it was gone. The ground is gone. I just don't think he'd give him a hard time. I thought he knew his race was up. He wasn't getting there. So I think he gave him an easy ride. And I think this return to firmer ground is going to play to his strengths a bit more. He's a win on good to firm of 1 mile 6 and 2 miles 3. So the drop down to 2 miles shouldn't be too much an issue. I can't see them, like I say, giving Quickthorn that lead again. So I think the Tory is going to be a bit closer this time. And I think he's going to run his race.
Yeah, I think it is quite tough, because if you go through the Goodwood race, between Coltrane, Eldar, Eldarov, there's a short head, and you've only got sort of a length and a half back to Courage Mon Ami, and as you say, it sort of knew his race was run, and the other guys were sort of all out. So a repeat of that, if Courage, I mean, does the 2 mile trip suit Courage Mon Ami, or does he need further? That's my only issue, and I've sort of. I trusted Coltrane last time out, and he obviously got closest bar Emily Dickinson. But I'm actually going to go for the 4-year-old. I'm going to stick with Eldar Eldarov. I think he could go closer. I think back on a bit better ground. Obviously, the 2 mile trip we know anyway, sort of 1 mile 6 to 2 mile was sort of his trip, and I just think he could maybe be the one to take into this race and maybe sneak his head in front. As you know, I doubt they'll let Quickthorn get away like he did last time. And I just think it's going to be a lot tighter field coming around that sort of final bend. I think it's going to be quite an interesting race to dissect, and not one you'd go heavily in on. But I'm going to go with Eldar Eldarov, I think, because obviously you've got a lot of these similar sort of price. I don't think much will get backed in, because you could pick any of them really for this race, couldn't you?
Yeah, like I say, there's a few with chances. Coltrane, Botty's horse, Eldar Eldarov, Courage Mon Ami, even Quickthorn. I think you wouldn't be surprised if any of those could win.
It'd be interesting to see. Like, I know you say sort of Tashkan's in there, could be a bit of a front runner, but it'd be interesting to see how they go with him, because he does go off quick. He put a fair distance between him and the field quite quickly. It's whether they can all keep up, I suppose, and do they want to burn themselves off trying to. So it's a bit of cat and mouse, isn't it? I think.
Well, I think with Courage Mon Ami winning over 2 miles 3, I think Frankie will be more prominent on him. I think he won't mind as much going with him at a quicker sort of pace. I think that'll
I
help.
suppose you've got the whole. Will he have the pace to go that speed early on? But at the same time, he would. If he can keep up that pace, it then sort of does become a bit of more of a staying 2 mile, and that will obviously play into his strength. So I suppose if he does get in position well quite early, he could be the one to be on. And he was looking pretty impressive before the last race. So yeah, we shall see. One for Courage Mon Ami and the other for Eldar Olarov. Right, the 3 o'clock, the gym track. Group 2 over 6 furlongs, and we obviously have the Calbert runner in here, Killian, Johannes Brahms, Hatem Bahia, King's Gamble, etc. Bigger the rest. Are you going for Killian? We obviously, I'm looking at this here. We don't actually have a jockey booking for Ryan Moore just yet. It'd be interesting to see which way he goes. Think he'll be on Killian?
Yeah, I like Killian. I think he's a strong bet. He can only manage third last time out of Goodwood, but he was out the back of the rear. And it was soft ground, which wouldn't have played to his strengths, because if you watch his race prior to that, he was out the back and he just came like a train on some good ground. So I think these fast conditions with that long straight at York, I think we could see a big effort from him. One I do like though as well is Emperor's Son for Fahy. Everything I read about this horse, Fahy's always talking him up like he's something special. He flopped at Royal Ascot, but that was only 2 weeks since making his debut, and it probably maybe came a bit too quick for him. I mean, he's had a good break now, and he likes the track. I think he's got a good record at York, so I wouldn't be surprised if he runs into some sort of place, and I think he might be a good odd, some good each way value there. But yeah, I think a big performance from Killian could be on the cards here.
Yeah, I do think he's going to be really tough to beat. I mean, I do like to take a favourite on at York, because I used to sort of lump on favourites and always get my fingers burned. So I'm going to sway towards Johannes Brahm for Aidan O'Brien, another Aidan O'Brien runner. Obviously, Ryan Moore's not been jocked up yet, so I do think he will end up on Killian, you'd like to think, but it will be interesting to see which way he sways. But I've sort of gone into the form of Johannes Brahms. I know he was second last time out, but he was second behind Big Evs, who's obviously been supplemented for the Friday. The Numthorpe. That was over 5 furlongs, and I do think the step back up to the 6 furlongs here will definitely suit, back on better ground as well. I think obviously I'll just take him on. I think obviously he's been a pretty impressive runner as Killian, apart from obviously last time out. But like you say, he gets his conditions tomorrow on Friday. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? I do think it'll be between them two. I do quite like the one you just mentioned there, Emperor's Son, obviously at a big price, but I think it'll be between the top two. So I think if you stick with one of them two, I don't think you'll go far wrong, personally. You're muted. Hang on. You've muted yourself.
Oh,
hello?
I've just been looking at the form as well. Emperor's Son actually did beat Killian on debut. Obviously, Killian has been taking a while to get things together, but yeah, I think he could run a big race.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and luckily I will be there to watch it. So fingers crossed, I can at least have a winner. It's a good race on the Friday. It's probably one of the better days, I think, personally. But here we go, the big one then, the Numthorpe. Here we go. So Group 1, 5 furlong, speedsters. Here we go. I Feel Princess back for redemption. Brad Sells obviously in there. That's where the redemption comes in. Big Evs has obviously been supplemented for this. That's quite a big shout. Dramatised, obviously a good York specialist. And Bigger the Rest. Is it going to be redemption for Highfield Princess? Will she just go and win? Is she better than this lot after a couple more runs?
Yeah, I do like her in this. I mean, it's going to be a rapid 5 furlongs, this, given the conditions. They're going to be going some gallop. I think redemption is on the cards. Last time out against Brad Sells, she was giving away £3. It's only going to be £1 on Friday. And there wasn't a lot in it at Goodwood. And I think she kind of got hampered near the line. So I think redemption is on the cards for her. I think she's going to be quite hard to peg back. Big Eves is very interesting. I think he runs off bottom weight.
Yeah, I've got him off 8 stone 3 here. So if you can quickly work that out.
It's a lot.
Is it £19 off Highfield Princess? That's some weight, is that?
Yeah, he was very impressive last time. His sire is Blue Point, who himself was a top sprinter. I mean, he beat Batash a few times, so I wouldn't really underestimate him. I think if it's not going to be this year, I think next year he could be quite a decent force to be reckoned with in these sprints. But I think it's still going to be Highfield Princess, his race list. But yeah, watch out for Big Eves. I think he's got a good big future.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be able to look into we'll probably be tweeting out some of the stats and trends and things. I'd be interested to know if there's any sort of 2-year-old record in the Nunthorpe, whether he's going to be good enough to beat these. But obviously, it'd be some step up in class and in level for him to go and win this, albeit getting all that weight from the top two. But I can't have Brad Sell. I think getting only £1, I do think Highfield Princess looked extremely impressive, a good one, and I think she's going to go and win this personally, albeit I do think Big Eves or Big Evs is probably the danger, but it's just such a big step up. But you can't really ignore that much weight sometimes. But when you've got an improver like that, if Killian were to win, that sort of boosts Big Eves' form. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with Highfield Princess, and I'll hopefully get a few videos and photos of her on the day. And fingers crossed, she can be a nice big winner for the podcast. Right, so one more race to do for York before we move on to the anything else, which will probably take about an hour with how many Rich probably has. But we're going to go for the big one on Saturday. Ebor handicap at 335. Who are you fancying in this? I know obviously Sweet Williams in here, a favourite. Is he better than these? Is he better than this level? Could he go win? Are we taking him on? What's the plan, mate? What's the plan?
He's the only one I've really looked at in this. I think he's a group horse that has been running in handicaps. I think running off 95, I think he's way better than 95. I think he's at least 105, 110 maybe. I think he's related to Highland Real. I think he's a half brother or some sort of relation. Yeah, I mean, he's won on various grounds, various trips. I think York's going to suit him. He's got a good gallop on him. I assume Havlin's going to be on board. He's been riding.
He is. So he's running off 103 in this. He has gone up £8 for that win last time out at Lidl. And he has got Havlin, so that's another stone on top of that for Havlin.
Yeah,
is it a case of he is probably a group horse in a handicap, but is it maybe just one too many handicaps sort of thing?
I don't think so. No, I think if Havlin can keep a lid on him, I think he is quite a quirky horse, doesn't he? I think he's had the headgear on to keep him focused because he's got a quirk or two. But if Havlin can keep a lid on him right up to the end, I think as soon as he lets him go that straight, I just think he'll bound clear from these. Yeah, I think he's a group horse. I'm quite surprised he's winning because the owner last time out didn't really seem that keen, but he's got in, and I assume he's winning. So yeah, he's the one I'm probably going to be on.
And like I say, he's won at Doncaster on good to firm. He's won on good. And he's won on heavy. So the ground you would think wouldn't be any issue whatsoever. So it's one of them where I think we're going to have either a big price come out of the pack, or he'll just be absolutely tanking along, and we're all going to be sat here thinking that was the easiest, bet we could have had. Sort of 4-1 at the moment. That makes you wonder why is he 4-1 if he's so much of a group horse in a handicap. It's interesting, but I've got one. Obviously, I've backed this already at a little bit bigger price. I got 20-1. It's into 14s in places, so it's still a nice little price. And obviously, it is a bit of a risky one, and probably people are going to think, "Oh, here we go." But I'm going to go for the Willie Mullins trained horse in here. Now, it's a horse called Jack Finbar. Now, I thought it looked a little bit like a plot for the. Oh, it's not a plot, but looked laid out for this. I've been sort of prepped for it, and he's come back off. He was third. His third on reappearance this year behind Espionage, and that was off a 1,459-day layoff.
It's not a Cheltenham bumper, this,
It is to me. So yeah, I'm going to go for this one. He was staying on well in behind him, and I was quite impressed by that. To do that for such a long layoff, I thought he looks to have been brought back for this. That was over the 1 mile 3. He then ran at Galway 1 mile 4 in behind Brazil. And I just think it was another good run. It just looked like another prep run. They're not pulling up any horses or anything like that, pulling up in the ground. They're just prepping him for this. and obviously, hopefully, they get a strongly run race. But it was only a couple of lengths behind Brazil that day, and I'd take a lot from that. And I think the step up again to 1 mile 5 will obviously suit this horse down to the ground. William Buick is on, so that's always a good sign. He's also an awesome jockey. And I just think at a big each way price, it's one that I'm just going to take a chance on now. Obviously, it could be one of them that just completely bombs out and comes no way down the field, or it could be one of them that gets more improvement with obviously getting more runs under the belt now, having 2 since that long layoff. So I'm going to go for Jack Finbar and hope that Buick can give him an absolute stellar ride. And we know William Williams hasn't got a bad little record in the Ebor over the years. So fingers crossed he can get this one prepped and ready to go. So yeah, that's mine. Jack Finbar at around 14-1, and probably Sweet William might be the one. But to take a favourite in a big handicap like this is always risky, I think. So yeah, fingers crossed we can get a winner there. Right, mate, that's York done and dusted. So we're going to finish with the anything else for the week section, and then we'll move on. Well, we'll finish with the naps and next best. But I'm going to let you go first. Obviously, this is where it takes about 5 hours. So have you got anything else for the week ahead, mate? Let us go.
I've got 1 or 2. I'll just go through them. So Wednesday, York 150. We've got a pod Cliff horse, Corker.
Corker!
I don't know if he's on your list, but he's got a nice medium to low draw, and I think that's what you need in these sprints over the straight course. If he breaks on terms, I think he'll go very close. He just missed out last time. I thought his last run was the one that he was going to win, but he lost out by a head. So maybe some redemption finally. Surely. The 520 at York. The favourite Starlust looks like a good horse. Beat a Ray, won impressively at the weekend. There's also Barnwell Boy in this, who I think at 20-1 is overpriced.
Have you been reading my notes? Because the 2 that I had for the flat, you've just picked off.
Maybe you should have gone first. Barnwell Boy. He needs to obviously rediscover his debut form, but he was quite hyped up at Royal Ascot, I seem to recall. And at 20-1, I think that's too big. I think each way value there should be had. Moving on to Kempton, 652. I've got Clear Image for Godolphin. Slowly away on debut, was never going to win from that position. But ran on towards the finish, and with any improvement, should be progressing. I think she's about 10-3, I think, something like that. Then on to the Thursday at York. I've got a couple of big price ones here. I've got 225 Grey Cuban. He's gone close now twice over last time out in Nottingham. And again, ran on inside the final furlong. James Doyle's taking the ride here. He's quite a decent jockey for these sorts of horses. I think he likes, he knows what he's doing. 25-1, I think he is. So I think he's worth a good punt there. Then we've got probably one of the best bets, I think, of the week. Again, a podcast favourite of mine, 520. Unequal Love is out for William Haggis. She steps up in trip here. I think she runs off the mark of 90 now. I think that's still workable. So, she beat a horse that was rated about 87, I think, last time out. So, I think it's still workable. That she just keeps improving with every run. Quite ground versatile. She tackled 7 furlongs again. She tried it on debut, finished 4th, but again, she just keeps improving with experience. I think she's about 4-1. I think that's a good price. Mm-hmm. So that's one I quite like. Again, on the Thursday, you've got Leopardstown. Couple for O'Brien. You've got 435 Content. Again, probably has got the experience on the side to kind of finally get rid of that maiden tag. I quite like that one. 655 Alexandropolis, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. A good third last time out in a Group 3 behind White Birch and Up and Under. They're quite good yardsticks, I think. So drop here to listed level, I think should suit. And I think, again, that should be shedding his maiden tag. A couple of interesting ones at Killarney that I've got down.
Should I go first or what?
I'll tell you what, I'll not mention them. You can go, and if you've not mentioned them, I'll come back to them.
Go on, then.
So on the Friday, then, we've got Newmarket now. 425, measured time. I think
leave my jumps alone. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, 425, measured time for Godolphin. I think we've mentioned this, but I think it's been mentioned before on the podcast. Unbeaten this year. won the last time out at Kempton in a novice. Steps up to 1 mile 2, which should suit. Makes his handicap debut off 91. That should be well workable. Beat one the legend, who's now rated 94. So there is some scope to say he's at least 95 plus.
Mhm.
Another cliff horse myself, maybe not new, at 5 o'clock on Newmarket, Rathgar is back out.
Here we go again, Rathgar.
I'm sure this horse is going to win a handicap. He's gone close off 83 over 1 mile 2 already this season. He's down to 80. So he's got a handicap in him. It's just, can I get on him when he wins?
Well, you're committed now. You're just going to have to keep going until he wins.
Just have to keep going. Another one I quite like, I think he's a very good bet on the Friday at Hamilton, is Lion's Pride. Runs at 6:20. I'm sure this one was due to run at Goodwood in one of the group races, but connections pulled him out, and he may not even run here, but currently he's in the mix to run at Hamilton. He beat Middle Earth, who's gone on to win a novice event, and I think that's good form. I think this one could be a kind of a slow burner. They're just kind of building that experience, but he's got some ability, this kid, and I think he's definitely one to watch out. On the Friday, the last one I've got is Queen Emma at Goodwood, 7:15. A winner at Linfield off 78, runs off 80, down in trip. Again, I think that experience is going to suit, and I think she'll go close. I've not got many more, trust me.
No, I like it. I'm obviously, I don't need to write them down, so I'm hoping you'll send me your notes. But get these written down or listen back, guys, because there'll be definitely winners within this little segment.
So then on to the Saturday at York, 150. Nostrum is chalked up. Whether or not he runs, I'm not 100% sure, but he brings the best form in this, surely. He went down to Epic Tetus. I think we finally settled on that at Goodwood last time, but that was on soft, and I don't think that's potentially his ground. This Sounder surface should see him absolutely trounce these. Interestingly, in this race, Passenger is also in, but I don't think Michael Stout is going to run both of them. So whichever one doesn't run, probably back the other one that runs. Again, last one I've got at York for the Saturday, 4:45, Sketch. Was second favourite for the Richmond at Goodwood. That was won by Van Dijk. Obviously, he didn't get anywhere close to him. I think he finished like 5th or 6th, but that was on soft ground. I don't think he's a soft ground horse. He won his debut on good ground over 6 furlongs. They dropped down to 5 here on a sounder surface. I think he should see him bounce back. I think he's a good horse. On to Goodwood, 2:05, Carla's Way, another well-fancied horse from Roy Ascot. Well fancied for the Albany, but again, didn't really run up to form. Back up in trip here to 7 furlongs. I think Connections is kind of sweet, and I think they think they've got a good one. So I'll be quite disappointed if he doesn't bounce back here. 2:40, Epic Tetus is out. Whether or not again he runs at Goodwood. Obviously, Frankie's not going to be on board. I think he's still at York. My only query with this is I think this horse prefers soft ground. Obviously, he beat Nostrum on soft ground last time out. Maybe one to watch rather than have a little bet, but he's due to run, or he's down to run. And the last one I've got at 3:15 at Goodwood is New Business. Again, another one we've backed before on the podcast. Still only lightly raced. I think he's only had like 4 runs. He was 4th on his handicap debut, but he was backed into favourite, I'm sure he was. And he had Merlin the Wizard back behind him in 5th, who won next time out. He's been dropped £1 in the handicap, and surely he should be going close, I'd have thought. And that's your lot, unless James doesn't mention my Killarney horses.
No, well, I've just got 2 to literally give a tiny mention to. One of which might not be any price, but the second one may be, depending on who I think might go favourite. But the only ones I've got is there's an horse called Salvador Ziggy that's going to be running for Gordon Elliott. They're looking at this as a Kerry National horse, and they need another run to qualify for that. So that horse is going to run at Killarney at 4:15, you'd have thought, but might be a short price. They've had a couple of nice wins, but they want one more in there. So that's just one I'd give a small mention to, depending on the price. And the other one is at 5:25 at Killarney. And I'm actually, there's another horse in here for Mullins, Aurora Vega's in here, but I'd actually be inclined to take her on with a horse that is actually one of my jumpers to follow. Here we go. And it's an horse called Intense Approach. for John McConnell now. Obviously, this has won a nice bumper last time out, and I'd be happy to take him against Aurora Vega in that race. So they're the two I'm going to mention for mine. Obviously, the jumpers to follow. Book is out. If you do want to read that, please drop us a message on either Twitter or on YouTube, and you can donate a little bit of money to a good veterans charity for a copy of that, and I'll do a bit more detail at the end. But carry on, Rich. What are your two at Killarney? I'm assuming it worked them too.
No, it wasn't, thankfully. So you can have a bit more from me. Killarney on the is it the Friday or the Saturday? You've lost me now. Going back. Anyway, Killarney 4:55, Sandy Creek. Good winner last time out at Dundalk. It's been well fancied. He's been beat at odds on twice, but he's been backed into odds on, and I think he's got some ability. And I think finally, a bit like Killian, it's all coming together. So I'd be interested in that one. And then at 8:10, Gordon Elliott runs Pied Piper, who I think is an interesting runner. Obviously, last seen at Punchestown and finished second in the county hurdle, but I'm sure Gordon's got a plan up his sleeve. Run over 2 miles here. I think it's some sort of qualifying race, I'm sure. I'm not 100% sure what it's for, but I think Gordon's got some sort of master plan up his sleeve for this horse. And it's one I'll be keeping an eye on, for sure.
I've also just pressed a button on Racing Post, and it's an absolute revelation of a button that allows me to see all the race with all the runners, and then they all just run after each other. That is an unbelievable button. I've just figured out how to press. So that's another thing I'll be using as we go on. But yeah, no, that's fantastic, Rich. I'm loving it. So we'll finish with an absolute next best, and then we'll do some final thoughts. What's your next best for the weekend then?
Next best, Unequal Love at York on the Thursday. I think she's a good horse. I think she's still got improvement in her.
Fantastic. My next best is going to be Cherry Blossom in the Lowther Stakes on the Thursday, the 150. I think that's going to be a nice one for Ryan Moore. And your nap?
My nap runs in the Jim Crack, and it's Killian. I think this horse with his ground, I think he's just going to bolt. I think you're going to see some sort of performance from that. He's just going to blow you away. So yeah, I think Killian's going to win a big race.
Fantastic. And my nap is going to be Edwardian again for more in the Acomb Stakes tomorrow to kick off the Ebor Festival with a winner for myself. 100% surely will not lose. Right, so that's another podcast done, Rich. I've enjoyed tonight, and obviously fingers crossed that York can be a really good meeting for us all. Like I say, we're going to have plenty of tweets going out, plenty of content hopefully coming, and hopefully a lot more information out there. So make sure you follow us on, obviously, the final flight pod, Twitter, myself, my Twitter, and Rich as well. Give us all a follow because we'll be tweeting loads of stuff out, loads of content, loads of videos and photos and things will be coming out this week. For me, I've obviously got my own little mini series coming out tomorrow night, which is my jumpers to follow. So that'll be landing at 7 p.m. So make sure you give that a listen or a watch. It'll be on YouTube and it'll be on Spotify. And obviously you can donate to get my book, which has every single horse in there that I've managed to come up with. 77 in total. So that's pretty informative. Fingers crossed I can raise
77 winners.
77 winners throughout the season. Loads of money to be made. And hopefully I can raise some good money for the veterans charity Hull for Heroes. So check them out. Even if you don't want a book, just go donate because they're a great cause. And like I say, we're going to be rolling up into we've got a little bit more of the flat to do. And then sort of in 8 weeks' time, we're going to have a big flat kickoff with Chepstow. Really looking forward to that. We're going to have all sorts. We're going to have previews. We're going to have anti-post shows, all sorts coming on. And fingers crossed we can bring a real quality podcast to the masses. Any final words, Rich, before we go?
No, just enjoy it. We've got good summer racing ground at York this week. It's going to be good, fast, rattling up that straight. And it's a good festival. It's a good week.
Fantastic, right, mate. That's the last word from Richard. That's the last word from me. Join us again next time on the Final Flight podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
See you later.